Hello, 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 and thank you for tuning in to KXXT's 1010 AM's Inspired Living, the inspiration station for the nation. I'm your host, Aqueela Maddox, also known as the Inspirationalist. I am the founder and owner of Belief LLC, where we aspire to inspire healthy growth in every aspect of your life. Here on Inspired Living, you will receive productive information that promotes personal development, including a healthy mind, heart, and spirit, as well as professional development, which includes career growth and business expansion. All of this done by Perspective Empowerment. Happy Thursday! I am super excited as always. It is an amazing day in Phoenix, and it's always an amazing day. Why? Because this is the day the Lord has made, and that's the reason I rejoice. Not because of traffic, not because of anything else, not because of what has happened in the day or gone on in the day, but just simply because the day has been made by the Lord. So I'm always grateful for that. I'm super excited because we've got some amazing things coming up, right? So you guys will not believe this, but tomorrow we will actually have our first teen talk. I'm super stoked. So how did this come about, you ask? Well, that's a great question. This came about as a result of literally just talking to teenagers. And of course, I've explained, and I'll just recap, I have under my program or under my business, Belief LLC, that there is a program called Coaching to Kids. And in Coaching to Kids, I have an opportunity to coach children one-on-one. It's a little different than mentoring, kind of similar in the vein, because what it is it's definitely super intentional and goal specific. So it's not just me being there as a leader in their life, but absolutely intentionally attacking and providing healing to some hurt areas, insight to misguided areas, certainty where there's some confusion. A lot of the times these teens are having questions about anything from their sexuality to their parents, like, why are my parents so tough on me, to, them even understanding the purpose of school, because I don't know about you, but I meet a lot of kids who's like over school already to the point of like no return. They're wanting to drop out of school and go to work. Like, who's trying to sign up for bills right now? Like, I don't know about you, but they will definitely always be there. And I tell my youth, I always tell them this: listen, if I could go back in time, I would pick a good age where my mother and my father was taking care of me, or my mother at some point, like however you want to. I would have taken that any day over sometimes the bills and stuff that I get and the responsibility that I now have. Now, don't get me wrong. I definitely love being a mother and I love my life. However, nobody wants these bills. So anywho, I'm always encouraging the young people to just be where you are, enjoy the life that you have now, and in due season, you'll definitely get to adulthood and the bills will be there waiting for you. So anyhow, under Coaching the Kids, I have an opportunity to speak to a lot of children. Now, outside of my business, I do volunteer. I mentor children, and I'm also a camp counselor. What? Yes, Miss Aqueela, also known as Miss Q, is a camp counselor. I go by Miss Q because nobody can remember Aqueela. And when you really trying to get, yourself out there and for people to know you, I want to be remembered and remembered right away. So I do not go for Aqueela. I go by Miss Q. Make it easy. It also makes it easier on my parents as well. But anywho, I volunteer with Elevate International. We had a pleasure of having them as one of our guests. And they, with Pastor Jerome Parker, and he spoke to that organization. And he's also the community director as well, where he gets out and networks with the different people in the community to let them know what we're doing, as well as to collaborate so we can be an asset to the children that they may have, whether it's in schools or churches or whatever. And so anywho, I volunteer in that capacity as well. So with all of that, I'm stating that I love kids and I want to know what's in their heart, like what's near and dear to them. And we want to be able to speak to it. Oftentimes we try to become advocates in such a way that we don't give room for them to speak. And so I wanted to really intentionally provide a platform where they can speak to their own issues. And now they're open because they're like in this amazing setting of being right here in the studio. They have an opportunity to really just have this conversation. And there's, of course, no judgment here. We are no judgment zone, as they say out there. I've seen it all over the social media platforms. This is a no flex zone. So ain't nothing tense going on up in here. We definitely want to provide an opportunity for them to be comfortable and be themselves. So Teen Talk is coming, and we're going to have a special guest as well tuning in, and he's going to talk about, oh my goodness, the 5 degrees of nothing. I am super excited about that because he's really going to really help us to break down what nothing produces. And you guys understand, like, I'm super excited. I don't want to give away his nuggets. Like, this is why I'm like gritting it over here, because I'm trying not to tell you too much. But I promise you want to tune in. This is not going to be just something the teens will benefit from. Trust me. We're going to, benefit from it as well, because teens are really just smaller version of adults, and we're just larger kids. So the reality of it is we all are going to be able to benefit from the information that he's talking about. But let me tell you something here. This guy was speaking about the power of nothing, and he used, are you ready for this? He used the fig tree that was cursed by Jesus. What? Oh my God. I was like, this is so good, because I don't think we talk about nothing enough. We always try to talk about something, but nobody's trying to talk about nothing. We really and truthfully are always talking about nothing, and we think that it's something, and it really could be more. What? That was off the dome. I did not write that, ladies and gentlemen. But anywho, I crack myself up. But anywho, so honest and truthfully, he's going to talk about the nothing and what nothing produces and what happened when we're doing too much of nothing. I'm super excited about it, and how it impacts this generation. How he even mentioned, what are we doing? Because I really believe that when we're not producing, it's a sin. Why did you say that? Well, because in the Bible, it says, be fruitful and multiply. That means that it was a command. It wasn't an option. It wasn't a suggestion either, you guys. I know oftentimes we think like the Lord is suggesting these great ideas to us. Nope, it's actually a mandate. Multiplication is in our very being, right? We talked about this. Maybe we didn't. But anywho, multiplication is who you are. You started off as like one egg in a cell or whatever, or this one cell, and next thing you know, it kept multiplying, and then it became this person, this baby, but all from cellular, molecular, don't even listen, I'm not the science girl, but I'm just letting you know that I know we started off as like one cell, and it just continued to multiply and separate and duplicate and multiply, right? So multiplication is in the fiber of your being. You think about, again, all of that to say the whole process of birth, and then all of a sudden you become a baby, a whole being, right? Super amazing. So anyway, that's just who you are. So for us, you can't say, well, I'm just not created to do. No, you were. You absolutely were. I'm sorry. But you were created to multiply in one way or another, whether in every way, should I say, your words, your actions, your initiatives, responses, everything should produce. That's what multiplying is, producing. So being fruitful is producing. And so what he's going to speak to is like, what are we doing with our time? How are we utilizing, our free time? Are we playing video games? Are we, are we out here, playing the games and apps on our phones? And just really challenging us as a people, first of all, but he's really challenging the generation as well. I know we have very much so a lot of successful young people in the generation, like the guy who created Facebook. I actually saw a post the other day that said, did you know that the person who invented the popsicle was 11 years old? I was like, what? And it said double tap if you like popsicles. Do you think I double tapped it? I did. Ramon was like, yep, she did. Ramon, would you have tapped? Would you have double tapped? He gave a thumbs up. He said I would have. So needless to say, I'm not by myself. Look, I don't know where you are right now, but holla if you hear me for the popsicle, right? I don't care what kind of popsicle it is. Double tap through the radio. Holla, scream, something, woo, woo, whatever you give me, I'm receiving it because it's awesome. But it's basically saying how all of these, there's these various inventions that have come to us due to young people. So then he begins to challenge that. Like, what are we doing now? How are we training our children up? So we talk about training up your children on the way they should go, but what is that looking like for us? Because I know we're all so busy. We've got things to do. And I'm telling you, Aqueela Maddox, the Inspirationalist, I've got a very productive calendar, I must say, but I still have children. And so what am I teaching my kids in the absence of words and within my words? What am I teaching them to do? How am I teaching them to produce? What am I teaching them to produce? Am I teaching them to produce? So he's going to talk about the 5 degrees of nothing, and it's going to be super, super amazing. So anyhow, I'm looking forward to that tomorrow. It's going to be good. And I'm going to have two very special guests in the studio, which are going to be young people. There may be actually a little bit more, but I know for sure we have two that I'm super, super excited about. And they actually go to Chorus Academy with my daughter. And they were like, what? We get to be on the radio? I was like, yes. And I would love to even have you come back as a reoccurring guest. So I've already kind of put it in their minds. Because see, what we don't realize is when we begin to speak this stuff to these young people, that it still is producing. So we want to be very intentional about what we're saying to them. So I wanted them to know that there's value in their voice, that there's value in their story, and they actually have people out there who want to hear it. When we are training our children that, when we are constantly telling them to be silent, constantly telling them, or should I say not even telling them or overlooking their words, then we are teaching them that their words didn't have any power. And I remember asking a young girl to pray for me. And she was like, Miss Q, you can pray yourself. Why do you want me to pray? And I told her, I said, honey, because your prayers are just as effective as mine. And I really and truthfully understood in that moment that I was teaching her to see the power in her own voice. And I didn't want her to apologize for it. So Teen Talk is not just so that we can provide a platform for them to speak, but it also to empower them to see the power in their voice, because their words have life and death. And if we can teach them that by allowing them to see the impact that it has on us and to us, then we can also really begin to empower them and employ them to see the power as they speak to other people, because they're always saying something, whether it's through text, chat, or whatever. But anywho, our first segment there, I really want to make sure that we really emphasize, for one, the power of our teens, letting you know what's coming up ahead here at Inspired Living, and as well to just express my excitement for the opportunity to be able to speak into the life of teens. Letting you know right now, before we go to break, that you are tuning in to KXXT's 1010 AM Inspired Living. This here is your inspiration station for the nation. I'm your super excited host, Aqueela Maddox, and I also am known as the Inspirationalist. I just want to speak life into you, you guys. I want to make sure that you are maximizing your life, living your John 10:10 now, right? He came that you have life and have it more abundantly. So don't wait. You get to get it in now. So I'm super excited for our next segment here. Stay tuned, because we'll have a surprise for you. Woo, woo, woo. And as always, I'll see you on the other side of the break.
Life feels perfect. Other days it just ain't working. The good, the bad, the right, the wrong, and everything in between. Yo, it's crazy, amazing. We can turn our heart through the words we say. Mountains crumble with every syllable. A broken liver. So speak life to the deadest, darkest night.
Hello, and thank you, and welcome back to Inspired Living, the inspiration station for the nation. I'm your host, Aqueela Maddox, also known as the Inspirationalist. And right before the break, I said I had a surprise for you guys. And guess what? I made good on my word. Woohoo! Okay, so anywho, I do have a surprise, and it's a very special guest who is here in the studio. And his name, which is super exciting, guys, because it's J apostrophe E-A-N. What does that spell, children? No, it doesn't spell Jean. It spells Jean.
Yes, it spells Jean. I was just telling her a unique story about how some people call me Jean. My mom raised me on that name, but if you call me Jean, that means I know you met me through someone. And Jean means I introduced myself.
Listen to that.
Yeah, that's usually how
so
it
that
goes.
Means you don't want the people walking up on the street just saying, yo, what up, Jay?
No, because it confuses me. It makes me think you know somebody that I know. Okay. And so my next inquiry is, who do you know, and who knows me, that they introduced me to you. So that's pretty cool.
He's like, don't confuse me.
No, don't confuse me.
And obviously it doesn't take a lot. So Let's just keep it simple, he's saying, is what he's saying.
Pretty much.
Don't do it, guys.
Pretty much.
Oh, my goodness, you guys. So he is absolutely amazing. Got some wonderful things going on. He's got a program that he has implemented to take into corporate America to really help with leadership and supervising and things like that. He's got like a lot of platforms. First of all, if you guys have seen the post I put out there advertising his appearance, you see he crazy. Which is totally why I was so excited to have him in the studio.
What creative do you know who isn't crazy?
Okay. And my body goes, oh,
right.
Because it's the truth.
Exactly.
What creative person you know ain't crazy?
Right.
The way he said that. I got it. I got it.
Right.
Okay, cool. So anyway, come on, let my lovely audience know more about yourself, what you got going.
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Woohoo.
I really do. Beautiful day out here in sunny AZ. So, John Middleton, I am a leadership innovation specialist, coach, however you want to label it. I don't like too many labels. I just like to identify with the crowds that I speak with.
Awesome.
My job is to, my career, my life goal is to work with individuals and teach them how to tap into their creativity. A lot of the times we find out when people do tap into their creativity, they become very disoriented and unorganized. And that's just because it's heavy on them trying to figure out how to place and put everything together so that they can direct themselves. So what I've done is come up with multiple programs that allow them to do just that, with mental note-taking and also understanding how to structure their behaviors and habits so they can move towards the commonality goal that they have in their subconscious.
I like that.
So yeah, it can get. I go everything from simplistic, which is training young children from the ages of 4 to 10 with children books that I write, all the way up to the mid-age, mid-level teenager, training them with the books and the seminars that I give high school students, all the way up to corporate America. And the beautiful thing is getting the ones that are transitioning from college into corporate America.
That's awesome.
Right before they do it. Because those are the ones that have the largest impact because they go in the most exciting.
Yes.
And so talking to them, getting them to stay.
And untainted.
And that's
oh
my gosh.
Like open.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's really teachable and things.
Well, they're always looking for something to go against what their parents taught them,
Absolutely.
which is crazy.
You know what I'm saying? No, it's the truth.
Right.
It's the truth. Amen.
So
because everything your parents teach you had to be garbage. Right? I'm just saying. Then I mean, Lord, listen to me now. You understand?
Right.
I honor my mother and my father. So that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is just somehow we think we know a lot or it all, right. and we do. We be like, this that you was telling me, especially because it felt like a limitation. It didn't have to be a limitation. It could have been protection.
Yeah.
It's all about perspective.
Yeah.
But because of that alone, like you said, they're like, this can't be it. There's got to be more.
Yeah.
This ain't enough.
Yeah.
With the teenagers, something.
And with the teens today, that's just how they are. And so I got involved with the Marcus Graham Project, which is an advertising and marketing incubator out in Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
I got involved with them in 2013 as one of their students and participants. They usually cater to a younger crowd, but he entrusted my wisdom to come in, and he brought me in as a student. And I stuck with him for 2 years because I loved the goals. I loved the atmosphere that he had, and it was like being away at a boot camp for advertising.
I like it.
So when I found that out, I knew that this was the platform. So I hung in there, moved to New York for a little bit, hung in there in New York, which is tough. Tough. Leaving my sunny Arizona for them
cloudy,
horrible clouds.
Cold days, and
man,
it's
tough.
Not a game. Yeah, I just visited for like 4 days.
That's
and
it.
I was like,
come home.
Yeah, I object, Your Honor. I object, Your Honor.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So so we have great summers. I check in next week actually, because now I'm a facilitator.
Okay.
So I believe in creativity, creating your own environment, creating your future. I walk the talk. I just don't write it. So
no, I did tell them about your BIG.
Yeah,
which you got to be the one upside down.
Exactly.
I was like, I don't know where this is located, but he's not standing on the feet. His hands are.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want y'all to know.
Right.
So anywho, that definitely speaks to your personality. And like I said, super excited to have you. Okay, you said something. I know we're gonna probably be getting ready for break here in a little bit, but I want to just kind of, this is like my segue right now as my brain starts thinking. But anywho, or my wheels spin. But needless to say, you got to touching on how the creativity, when you really start to tap into or help other people become familiar with the creative in them. See, I'm a believer in creativity because I believe my Father's creative. I'm talking about the one in heaven. And as a result, and we are made in his image, that's my personal belief, that we essentially all are creative. And so what I always tell people, like, Aqueela, well, I'm not creative as you because I can't do. I'm like, I'm allergic to the word can't. So but I want you, what we're going to do after the break, I want us to dive in a little bit more about that, because what you said was, what do people do with all that? Once they start learning, like, man, what they can do and tapping into like who they are. And like you said, it becomes overwhelming to the brain. So I want us to tap into like,
we're going to get into it because that's the hardest part.
Like,
that's
how do
what
I
separates,
streamline this and be intentional and segment?
That is it. And we should hold on to that subject right now, because that's the whole point. Is to streamline and hold on, because that's what makes the difference between a guy just releasing a mixtape and my best friend Kanye West. That's what makes the difference between the two. Is doing those things.
Y'all heard it, guys. Like, that's gonna be good stuff. So as I just said, we have to get prepared for this break here. But I wanted to thank you first of all for tuning in to KXXT 1010 AM's Inspired Living. This is your inspiration station for the nation, and I'm Aqueela Maddox, you guys, the Inspirationalist. But I also wanted to give a special thank you to Jean for being here.
Thank you.
Yes, I am so grateful. So could you let the people know really quick, where do they find you? Are you on Facebook, blah, blah, blah?
All of the above. The best thing to do is go to my website, Jean Ashers. That's JeanAshers.com. And you will find everything you need to know about me. Or you can Google Jean Ashers, and I'm the only one there. So
bam, there you go.
Yep.
So I just wanted to thank you. And we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back. And like I said, and dive in about how do you separate and streamline when you've become, when your creativity has now been open. And you know how we do it. I'll see you on the other side of the break.
Some days life feels perfect, other days it just ain't working. The good, the bad, the right, the wrong, and everything in between. Yo, it's crazy, amazing. We can turn our heart through the words we say. Mountains crumble with every syllable. A broken liver. So speak life to the deadest, darkest night. Speak life.
Hello, welcome back. Welcome back to Inspired Living. This is the inspiration station for the nation, and you are tuned in with Aqueela Maddox, also known as the Inspirationalist. I'm telling you, it is all kicks and giggles here in the studio. You have to understand, when you have Ramon, which is the guy who pushes the buttons, and Jean, then you are in for a treat. You understand me? We were just cracking up over here. They were talking about beards. And you guys, like I said, if you check out the picture, maybe you'll see. I don't think you'll see actually John with the beard on the picture.
No, I don't have it on my. I took a clean shave that day.
Oh, okay.
I took a clean shave, but I do have a beard now.
Yes,
it's a struggle. Having a beard is a struggle. You know, it's kind of cool to talk about that, because we like the trends and try to see. I was never a guy who could grow hair on my face until my generation decided that everybody wants to grow beards, and then all of a sudden the man upstairs said, "I'll give you a beard." I still got a couple spots in it.
I see it. I see the blank spots, but it's all good. He combed it down. He did a comb over on the face.
Exactly. That's how or flat ironing.
Thank you.
Because Ramon gave us a really amazing. We'd like to give a shout out to Ramon's wife, who encouraged and ushered in the presence.
Gave me the fashion tips.
You better know it, because she said, "Honey, she reminded me of Eve. I have an idea."
Right.
There were no apples anywhere.
I'm telling you, but it's awesome, because she said to flat iron your beard, and guess what? It is super awesome and amazing. Yes. It doesn't look super straight, guys. So they're probably thinking like, what does that look like? And he didn't curl it. Okay,
no,
there's no spiral curls. There's no crimping. There's none of that.
If you saw it, you'd be jealous, because if you're a man, you can't grow a beard like this. This takes training to do this.
Man. Okay, so right before the break, this is a very quick segment, but we want to dive in just a little bit. So right before the break, we were talking about, how do I focus in? Once you begin to open up the door to my creative mind, my creative juices began to flow, okay, I don't know how to, how to segment them. I don't know where to start, where to begin. Which do I use? Which do I not use? It reminded me of the man with the 5 talents, the 2 and the 1.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes because we don't know what to do with them, we bury them suckers just like that.
And that's what and that is a perfect explanation, because that's what everyone does. They bury them, and then they say that then they bury them so deep, they say, maybe I'm really not talented in that area.
Yeah.
I thought I was.
Uh-huh.
And I know how that feels, because in today's day and age, if you watch too much TV, you think you're talented in some areas that you may not be.
Hey, shut up. Yes.
But
everybody can sing today.
Or
Me
everybody,
too.
or
Me
maybe
too.
everybody can't sing. But when I look around at my what we call the millennial generation,
right?
That has a large price on it when you're not identifying with the gifts that you were directly giving.
Yeah.
Because we associate a lot of our lives with,
that's good.
if it's not hard, I must not be doing it right. And I used to live like that. It's tough living when you say, if I'm not working hard, if I'm not bleeding and sweating, then it's not right.
That's good.
But then I realized, like, that's not true, because gifts are given to you so that things can be a lot easier, a lot simpler.
Make room.
Make room for the access of progression. And so I started telling people, why don't you stop saying it's got to be hard, and why don't you understand that when you were put here, it's going to be as easy as you want it to be. But it was put here for it to be very simple for you. That's what a gift is. So to all the individuals that are creative and that are trying to find out what they are creative in and what they're going to go, steadfast forward to, first thing you need to understand is, what are you going to enjoy doing every day that is not going to seem like it's a pressurized work environment? I work from home, and I take care of my daughter at the same time. And a lot of men say, how do you do that? So does that mean that your wife's the breadwinner? Your girlfriend's the
do you have a
breadwinner?
class on that?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay.
I do actually. I have a class
I
on
know
that.
some ladies who may be like, "Ooh, cute. Can we?"
I still make. Don't get it twisted, ladies and men. I still make good money to support my family with my wife. With my girlfriend. That's what it's all about. This is a new day and age, and if you're going to be the man of your household, you've got to take some control over the raising of your children, the bearing of your kids. And that's a whole different conversation that we can have.
Because that overseeing the garden and everything.
Exactly.
Like that. Tune in on our next Inspirationalist.
Right.
But that's really good, though, because he said some stuff that we're going to definitely touch on here on our last segment, because listen, you know how the Inspirationalists work, and if you don't, you're going to learn today.
You're going to learn.
But sincerely, he talked about gifts pursued versus gifts given.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's so good, because he said we look at things and we're like, oh, I can do that, and we go and pursue it, and then we wonder at times, in its difficulty, like, is this something I should be doing or should not be doing? Or we feel like we've trained ourselves to think that the struggle is a representation of us actually having to do it or actually doing it. So anyway, we're going to chop that up later after the break. Thank you so much for tuning in to Inspired Living. This is the inspiration station for the nation with the Inspirationalist, Aqueela Maddox. I'll see you on the other side of the break.
Between. Yo, it's crazy, amazing. We can turn our heart through the words we say. Mountains crumble with every syllable. A broken liver. Just speak life to the deadest, darkest night.
Welcome back to Inspired Living, the inspiration station for the nation. You are tuned in with Aqueela and Jean here today, and we are talking about, to me, it's a very super, super exciting topic, especially because I woke up this morning with my mind. No, I didn't. I really woke up this morning, even though I woke up with my mind stayed on Jesus. I really did wake up this morning to a conversation with a really good friend of mine, and he was actually telling me, he was like, you know what? I'm really good in this and, in this platform here, but I've got this DJing thing that I would like to do, but I don't know what I should do with it. I don't know if I should do it, but it's been a desire of mine since I was a child. So right before the break, we were talking about the gifts pursued versus the gift given. And so to my friend, what I told him was, I said, you just remind me of one of the stewards that were entrusted with the talents, and was like, hey, here's 2, here's 1, here's 5. And now it's a matter of how do we multiply those gifts. And I believe that right there is, because let's listen real quick. So even with that, right, it was just saying, hey, I believe that if that's something that's been in you for a very long time, that could be something that the Lord definitely wants you to multiply. How is the question? I think a lot of times that's what my questions look like to God. I'd be like, what you want me to do? And God be looking at me like, listen, chick.
That's because a lot of the times we don't like the response.
Right. And we asking the wrong questions.
And the wrong questions.
I would say what to God? Like, what do I do? What you want me to do? What you want me to, where you want me to go? And when he told me to leave my job, it wasn't a what no more. Ooh. So he stopped answering a question he had already asked. He had already answered. Mm-hmm. So then the question became when and how. How do you want me to do it? When do you want me to do it? And that became the focus. So anyway, but back into what you were saying, like when you're talking about streamlining or really being intentional with people's gifts, and you got this program that talks about getting focused.
Yeah, G-Fast.
Jesus. G-Fast. Like I'm super excited about that because that goes aligned. That correlates with what we were talking about the gifts, the creativity, the brain, and all that other stuff feeling overwhelmed. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, G-Fast. We're currently in the middle of writing the book, my team and myself, and I came up with the concept just because I ran track. Funny story, I ran track in college and in high school, and I would always say, man, I want to get to it quickly. How do I get to it quickly? But the only I assimilated to, okay, well, if I want to get there fast, I need to train. So how do I train? How do I train my brain to learn how to run that fast, over and over again? You can't just go out there and sprint. You got to train for it. So I said, okay, G-Fast, get focused and stay there. And we talk about getting focused because, the conversation we're on right now is, what am I supposed to be doing to get focused on? When I get that sign to quit my job because, it's overwhelming in the sense that I'm not enjoying myself and it becomes torture to me every day.
Or a pause, because it wasn't that for me.
Right.
It was just like the Lord was like, okay, we have to understand the difference between God using talents to get us to where we're going or where he wants us to remain. Yeah. And that was something. I was a tax accountant for 8 years at American Express. Sales tax at that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're like, so you can do my individual? No ham, no turkey. That's not the answer. Right. You don't want me, amen, to help you with your individual taxes. Right. But that information became valuable to my business. Sales and use tax became valuable to my business. The networking that I did. Now, because I was still speaking life there. Yes. Right? I'm still building relationships. I was very intentional at how my conversations went. You wasn't going to bring no mail parcel to me and not going to get a word. You understand what I'm saying? Yes. And she on my Facebook to this day. And she's like, hey, Aqueela, I remember you always encouraged me. And I'm like, see what I mean? This was always an opportunity for me to get where I am now. Yep. But understanding, like you were saying, what am I getting focused on? Because I really started to go to school for accounting. And twice the Lord was like shutting doors. All kinds of stuff was happening. Yeah. I'm like, this has got to be a trick of the enemy. And it wasn't.
And it's a toolbox. We spend all our lives putting tools in our toolbox. Never stop doing that. To anybody who's listening, don't stop doing that. Don't stop putting tools in there because you figure I can't use it right now. It doesn't mean that it's not going to be used eventually. As you're running through life, every now and again, slow down and take a water break and realize what you've been training for and utilize that. Don't spend all your life training. Actually put some application in. Theory is good, but apply that theory. Practice it. Fail over and over again until you become successful at it. Because I told my friend the other day, I said, because 401 is a great chemical to use to clean your kitchen. But guess what? It took 401 times before they finally got the ingredients correct where it became a household item. And that's how you have to think about yourself. If you want to be successful, you have to keep going and going and going. So when we talk about G-Fast and being in that center of yourself to figure out, okay, hey, what am I doing? What do I do? Well, a lot of the times I tell people, a lot of my clients, you already have the answer to that. You're just afraid. You're afraid to do it because no one around you is doing it.
That's the truth.
You're afraid of the ridicule. You're afraid that somebody's going to tell you can't do that.
Preach.
But they're going to tell you that anyway. That's how you know that you can identify with, okay, I know I'm in the right position.
Not to mention, like you're saying, like if it's gonna happen, because this is what I tell people. Everybody that's telling you not to get out the boat ain't haters.
Exactly.
They just care. They don't want you to drown. They didn't want me to be homeless. They was like, Aqueela, should we get the room ready for you and you and the babies?
Right.
Should we get the room ready? And it was out of concern and care. So because my perspective wasn't jacked up, because that's why I talk about healthiness all around here, you guys. Because my perspective was healthy, I could appreciate from which place they were speaking and still understand that this is an individual call.
Yeah. And that's hard for a lot of people because I was homeless. I was homeless for real.
Okay. For real.
And that's and we can get into that testimony because it's real. But at the time, I was sad, broken. But you realize something. It had to happen.
Okay.
It had.
He ain't homeless today, ladies and gentlemen.
No, far from it.
And he got a boo thing.
Right.
And some babies.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
So listen, and her longer than mine. His hair is longer than mine. And I ain't gonna lie, you guys, real quick. I had to tell him. I said, I'm feeling some kind of way, and I don't even like that expression. Y'all know I always say it now that I don't like it. But I'm like, I'm feeling some kind of way about your hair being longer than mine. You understand what I'm saying? I'm feeling some kind of way. And then I prayed a prayer. I did cover it in prayer and said, "Dear God," what did I pray? Tell him about it, Joe.
Make my hair long.
He's right. No, actually, it was in addition to that. It was why did you make his hair longer? Than
right,
me?
Man.
It was both. It was like, and then make my hair long, but he got to be thick like his too.
Yeah,
because my hair's thinner, and if it's
I was telling you, I only don't cut it because of my son, my only son, who just turned 6 day before yesterday. I only don't cut it because he won't cut his, and we have a pact between us two as the only two men. That, we come from women that with long hair, and I go, when you ready to cut yours, I'll cut mine. And he says the same to me, when you're ready to cut yours, I'll cut mine. So when are we cutting? And he gives me
So he trying to be the tough one.
Exactly.
He like, I'm not gonna punk out.
Right.
I'm gonna let the kid make the decision.
Yeah.
Son, are you ready?
Yeah.
Dang
Yeah.
He's
not ready. He's not ready. His aunts and uncles like, cut his hair. I'm like, no, we direct kids in so many other areas of life. I'm like, I'm gonna let him have ownership of that. He can have that.
And that's good. We were talking about, so with all of that, right, we were talking about choices and stuff like that. And it's very good to be very intentional at which choices we're going to make. Because, and I'm going to bring this around back to, we're talking about how to segment our gifts and how to be stewards over our gifts. Well, sometimes we're making decisions in unnecessary areas. We are overpopulated with choices. And I'm going to tell you, listen, I went to the mall and I was shopping for sunglasses. And I told that lady, can you pick 3? That you think might look good on me, because I don't even want all these choices. Why? Because I don't want to spend my time trying to pursue this decision. And I know that sounds crazy, but what I'm stating is that we have so many things to choose and be choosy of that now I'm taking up space where I actually should be using my time. I'm trying to spend too much time figuring out what I'm wearing, that where you should be building, because I have a business to build, I have a brand to build, and things like that. And I've got people I need to inspire, because I'm ready for the world to be healthy in their heart, their mind, and their spirit, and their perspective. Now that's going to impact their relationships, and it's going to impact families and things like that. So I don't have time to be trying to figure out what I'm going to wear. My outfits take me about 5 minutes of decision making.
Oh man,
5 minutes.
That's
and I'm
amazing.
so serious. I'm like, pull this, and that's it.
Let me get a class on that.
5 minutes,
okay?
Because I don't have the time. I'm like, it matches. Bam, let's do it.
Let's do it. Right, let's do it.
That's it. And if I needed a specific decision I thought I wanted to make, I throw a second pair of shoes in the car, and then I decide when I get there.
Absolutely.
As I'm getting out the car.
And that's life. When we talk about G-Fast, you just have so much that you're creative with. Once you find out your mind is creative, you wanna write the movies of the world.
You ain't lying.
And tell everybody, like, this is how it should be. Come with me. I'm gonna show you the way. And then our mind gets tainted with, well, how do I get in that network? How do I talk to those people?
Exactly.
Well, why even start writing this if I don't know the people to get it to? And then I started to realize something. Why do we think like that?
Yeah.
Why can't I just, becoming a writer was very difficult and still is, because I still don't understand how Stephen King can pull out this phenomenal, writing in movies in a matter of 3 weeks. He will tell you in interviews, I could write in 3 weeks. And you'd be like, but that's your craft.
It is.
Amazing. But being creative doesn't mean that you're going to be great at that automatically. You can't compare yourself to Stephen King.
Or nobody.
And nobody. You
Absolutely.
have to, your process is yours. And so to everyone, I would say, get started. First thing.
That's so good.
Get started. In order to get focused, you got to get started. So get started and don't care how long it's taking you to move. Don't ask anybody to measure for you of like, what do you think? No. Because they're going to compare to what is in the public's eye too. That's the only way they get to measure.
Absolutely.
So get started. If you get started, you will be shocked and surprised. I have a friend of mine working on a script together right now.
For a movie?
No, we're going to pitch to Showtime HBO.
Okay.
And we're working on it. And I came up with I'm very particular about human trafficking. I love the subject content, but I'm a godly man, so I want to figure out how to solve the problem of human trafficking. And the best way to do it is to feed more context so people are more aware of what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And so we're writing this show, and I told her, I said, let's not worry about a lot of the things. Let's just write. Let's research. Let's write. Next thing you know, she gets a phone call from one of her mentors saying, hey, we're working on something in the studio on human trafficking. So do you think that you can come up with something? And she had to pause the phone, and she was floored because she was like, I didn't tell you anything about what I was doing.
Right.
And this is happening. And she picked the phone. She said, well, me and my partner are working on a script. She said, what script? What script are you all working on? And she's like, well, we want to pitch to HBO and Showtime. We got this script. I can't really tell you about it because we, got to, do your content protection. Mm-hmm. And she said, I want to see it. I want to be first. Send me over your non-disclosure. Let's talk because, and we're thinking like major studio already. We haven't even gotten to treatment, and already this lady's ready to get on the road. And that's my testimony to be like, that's why you just get started.
Just get started.
That's
really good because I was going to ask you that. Like, what would you say to the person to get focused, about getting focused or GFast, because even myself, like there are a lot of things that I like to do. There's things that I'm good at there, and so for the people out there like that, what would be some points? So you said, get started. How do they streamline and separate those things? What do they, for one, I think you hit on something. I don't know if this is one of your philosophies, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you may want to get started on something that seems easy for you to start on.
Yes, absolutely. Get started on the thing that is most simple for you using the gifts that you already have.
Yes.
And get started in any way that you can. Research and start writing. Put your hand on paper. Go action.
Yeah.
Don't just theorize and say, yeah, I'm doing this. Really do it and take pride in what you're doing, whatever that is.
Oh my goodness.
And if you can do that, the staying there after your focus, it's easy. Just don't measure it by time. Take your patience, drive, ambition, put it all together, and God's going to deliver you to your awakening right on time. It's always on time.
Man. Okay, so y'all know we're going to have to do like a take 2, right? So definitely we're going to have to do another segment. But I am so thankful. Thank you so much, John, for being in our studio today and being on Inspired Living. Yes. I'm serious. We look forward to having you back.
Let's do it.
I'm love so it. Serious.
I love her energy, you all. Listen, tell your friends to listen. Everybody listening.
Thank you guys for tuning in to Inspired Living, the inspiration station for the nation. I'm super excited for tomorrow. Tune in at 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And as always, I'll see you on the other side of happy.